Hey, welcome back to the Chiron Intensive. I'm Kiara.
And I'm Setha. The Chiron Intensive is a space where we dive deep into healing. Inspired by Chiron, the wounded healer, this podcast explores how our struggles can become our strength. It's about real talk, real growth, and creating community for young adults who deserve to thrive.
I hate to say it, but in this life, it is indisputable that we are going to go through some tough things.
And we cannot predict or prevent every single bad day or misfortune. Instead, we can use various ways to cope to make life much more easier to live with, or at least boost our morale. So let's get into it. Kiara, I wanted to use our first icebreaker question to be this. If your coping strategy had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. If my coping strategy had a theme song, what would it be? RESPCT. That would be my that would be my coping theme song. Cause for real, put some respect on my name.
Period. So like your coping strategies kind of like ties back into like respect or like
Yes,
self-respect, right?
absolutely. What about you?
So for me, okay, I had to take some time to think about this one. Um, I feel like my coping strategies are always tied to like something fun or upbeat. So maybe Scream. Okay. That Scream by Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I gotta listen to that. I completely
Wanna
forgot about that
scream.
song.
Right, because sometimes you do gotta scream, but it
Yes.
also makes you want to dance, especially with the little part when like just dance it out. But like to the man that's making it hard, like kind of like also venting. Like I feel like that encapsulates like a good portion of like what my coping strategies could like fall under. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't
Yes. I
know.
have to watch that video. I have not seen that video. That used to be one of my favorite videos. The song I cannot remember entirely, but now that you sang it, it's coming back. But the video, I remember the video used to be one of my favorite videos.
It's such a good music video, and it's just a black and white screen, futuristic, and they're just dancing. And it's brother and sister. I love seeing like sibling dynamics. So,
Yeah.
and then like the
Especially
lyrics,
healthy
oh, I love
ones.
it. Oh yes, especially healthy ones.
Not like the
Especially,
ones where they're, fighting and doing all the
yeah,
extra stuff.
yeah, because those is like whoa.
Absolutely. Well, you fill in the blank. Coping to me is like,
Hoping to me is like feeding your soul.
ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Coping to me is like Space Jam. Like, I need space. I'm going to give you space. And then we can come back together and figure things out.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that because I almost was like, oh, like the movie Space Jam, but it's kind of like you're saying kind of more so like the dynamic of giving space.
I was thinking of the movie Space Jam,
Oh,
but but at the same time, yes, give space.
that makes sense. Okay, I was
Yes.
like, what is Michael Jordan up there?
There's
Is
two. There's two now. There's the Michael Jordan and there is
the new one right that came out in the 20s,
the
2020?
LeBron James one.
LeBron James.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
I watched it because I had a friend who got us free tickets, but it's so funny. I barely remember what happened in the movie.
yeah, that one came out I think 2 years ago
Okay,
or
yep.
maybe 3 years ago, I'm not sure. But hello, nothing tops the original one because that is the one that came out when I was a kid.
Period. I mean, I will say that one tops because I think I remember that one a little bit more than the one that just came out, even
I
though I got free
mean,
tickets and I got a t-shirt.
I mean, the original is there for a reason, you know? Sometimes we don't need a remake.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Let the legends live and just stay alive as a legend.
Yes, yes. It's like everything from my childhood is coming back. Every single thing. Space Jam, Ninja Turtles, Sonic.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Sonic.
I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back the Power Rangers. I think they already did or
I
tried
feel like
to.
they are. Like, aren't they casting? I think I saw something about them casting each like people to be in it.
Yeah, but this is definitely like that was my era, like the 90s. That was my childhood, and it's just like repeating itself all over again. But I can't take it when it's like bad remake. When it's a bad remake, I can't take it. Like Space Jam wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I liked it. It was decent.
Mhm.
But like if it's like a bad remake, I'm like, please just leave it alone. You could have just left it alone.
Yep. Because it's like it wasn't that hard to just make something new and
Yes.
potentially either do something great with it or butcher it, but don't butcher something that's great
Yes, but I
already.
do love the Ninja Turtles. The latest one. Oh my goodness. First of all, the animation, the graphics, the like everything about it. I love it. Absolutely love it. So that was necessary. That was a necessary remake.
I'm gonna give that one a try. I genuinely think I'm gonna give that one a try. That's
Yes, it's the I don't remember the title entirely, but it's the latest one, the one that came out most recently. It's
hmm
animated, the graphics are insane. Ice Cube is in it. His voice is in it. I know a bunch of people are in it, but Ice Cube plays a villain. He plays a villain and
Who
I
plays
just
the
think it's
villain?
so funny. And they're supposed to be coming out with another one next year. So I'm excited.
Okay, thank you for giving that recommendation. Like that's pretty cool.
Yes. And coping to me is like, oh, I already said it, but I do like to watch like animated anime and just like animated shows or anything with cool art to help me cope when I'm feeling down or feeling low, like bright artistic colors and just cool images and visuals really help me to come back.
Because it's kind of like you're able to step outside of your body. Well, not step outside your body, but stop being all in your head and thinking about what everything that's going on and actually appreciate like some art that's right in front of you because it is a form of art. So
Yes. Yes, I'm
cool.
amazed. I'm amazed by them. Yes.
So we are definitely having some engaging dialogue already about this topic. So like let's dive in, okay?
Of course. What does it mean to cope? It means to deal effectively with something difficult.
Yes, because I wanted to highlight the word effectively because it's very easy to kind of like slip into that world where you choose something and like I'm just coping, but it ends up being very harmful. So like one of the greatest things that I've learned about like coping and using tools to cope is making sure that it actually works, that it's healthy, and that it doesn't like do some reverse type of harm, or becomes a crutch.
Yeah, self-harm is very, very I feel like everyone doesn't understand that self-harm it's not just cutting yourself. It's not just drinking so much that you're making yourself sick. Self-harm can also look like you're eating the wrong things every day, or you're drinking soda every day, or you're running back to that person that you know is not really your friend, but they make you feel good in the moment and you're talking to them again, but you know that that person is not really there for you, right?
Mhm.
So self-harm can come in many different forms. And unfortunately in crisis work, I've been in crisis intervention for quite some time. Many people do self-harm, physically self-harm, mentally, emotionally. There are many different layers to it, but there is a lot of self-harm that goes on in the name of coping. And I think that we have to collectively understand what is healthy and what is not. And what is healthy for one person may not be healthy for the next person.
Right, right. Because, and I definitely want to like even talk about like the self-harm conversation, because like a lot of the times, for example, like let's say you struggle with like loneliness, because there might be different points in your life where you don't, or you're not around family, or you find yourself with the wrong group of friends, and then boom, you select like a partner, like a romantic partner that's just not good for you. They make you feel beautiful in one moment, but then you keep on going to them and they might, you know, be either very negative or they can become physically abusive. But you're thinking like, this is the best thing for me. This person makes me feel good despite everything that's going on. But that's like also a form of like self-harm, right? Like you can, in one hand, you could choose to cope through the things in life with people, like you need people. But on the other hand, there could be like harmful people that could, you ending up choosing them or navigating your life around them could like resemble like self-harm rather than choosing a healthy way to cope.
Exactly. And for me, I did already share some of the ways that I cope. I love animation. I love art. I love paint. Like if I can just get my hand on a canvas and some paint, and it doesn't have to look like a masterpiece. It's just me playing around with paint and the colors and mixing the colors, and all of that is so healing to me. But I also love to read, and I love diving into stories and finding ways to um break down the story, especially
Mm.
if it's like a mystery or a crime, or because I'm very very big into mystery, crime, horror, right? So so I will definitely peel back the layers in every story. um Another way that I cope that is healthy, because we all have unhealthy ways of coping.
Right.
Another way that I cope that is healthy is knowing when to separate myself from individuals who are causing me to have a negative reaction towards them. So if there is a situation that is going on where I feel like I'm becoming overwhelmed, I feel like I'm getting angry or I'm getting riled up, I'm going to separate myself, and we can come back at a different time if it requires that. If it doesn't require that, I probably will just leave you alone altogether. But I'm very good at giving people their space or recommending space as a way to cope.
Right.
What about
Right.
you?
So I love how you mentioned art. Like, I feel like any avenue that allows me to express myself is a good way to cope. And I do notice that when I don't do it enough, I kind of like I see my mental health decline a little bit. Like one of my top things, even though I don't do it as often as I want to, but I knew it got me through college, was mini dance parties. Like it literally, I don't even call myself a dancer. I
You
can
said
just do
mini. Did you say mini dance parties?
yeah, mini
Oh
dance
yeah.
parties, which is just me having a little dance party by myself with a little
Yes.
music. So and literally it just be anything that's on my playlist, just anything that's just a vibe, like, and I'm dancing. Like it might not be good. Like I said, I only know how to do a little two-step. And just because I did a show once, stepping doesn't mean I don't think I can dance, to be honest. But um it's because, and you know how they say like research suggests like moving your body is really good for like releasing trauma.
Yes.
um and then also I heard that also when you try to make, because you know how like they say your body, when you go through traumatic things or very stressful things, your body is trying to protect itself. Your mind and body is trying to protect itself by separating your mind from the body, but you're not supposed to be like that forever. So like moving helps bring that mind body connection back. So like literally got me through college, like having like many little dance parties. So like that's something that I know I want to bring in more often, but I still do it here and there, just not as much as I want to. And then like another form of like art for me is like I love watching music videos. That's why I said that the Scream music video is because it's like a music video that I also love to watch. When it came out, I just be staring at the screen like, wow, how did he did that? Whoa,
Yeah,
like I wonder what was the effect of that. And then I like to also just go like basically just go into this like vortex of like thinking about, well, I wonder what the director did. I wonder whose artistic choice was that. Because now like that creative brain is working instead of Miss Trauma Brain, Miss Anxious Brain, Miss Depressed Brain. It's giving them a break and then strengthening. I feel like it just strengthens that creative side. And I just love like doing those things. Observing art, observing like music videos, listening to music, and then dancing. I also like to journal. I feel like journaling, I have to make sure I do approach it as if like instead of me just trying to put blame on somebody or something, but writing down how I feel and how I can move forward so I'm not stuck in one like mind frame. Because I did have one time where I had like I was doing intake for like I think depression diagnosis and anxiety diagnosis. And I was like, all right, like, do you guys think I should journal? One of the girls told me no, because she was saying like it might not be safe for me. I don't know what she meant by that, but over time, I was like, when I came across other things, I think it has just more so to do on how you use the journal. Like it has to still be like a tool, like you can vent, just like you can't spend your whole life venting, because I do also enjoy venting with people, but I also learned that if you just complaining, all you're going to be doing is complaining instead of finding a solution and move
exactly.
forward. Exactly. So that's what I
Yeah,
use the journaling for. Like, I feel like different tools have different strengths, you know? Like, I know if I'm having an anxious day and it's not necessarily like something that is just how I'm feeling, but I can't really put an analytical thought to it, then it's probably best to dance. Or if I'm burnt out, but I don't want to do anything, well, I can't watch brain rot content, but maybe I could watch a music video and try to break down how I knew the director or the creative directors or how they could have put everything together on set. So at least I'm working my brain and separating things. But yeah, like I like doing fun stuff like that. I I always wondered if I know like I guess more creative people will lead to like more creative copings. But I think like there's some people who would even like, I don't know, like do math for fun. I think I heard of somebody saying that. Yeah, I knew some, I forgot. I remember I heard somebody say they like to do math problems. Everybody's different, right?
they like to do math for fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
heard somebody say that once.
I want to know what their IQ is because I'm sure they're pretty smart. Because I don't want to do any math for fun.
Right?
I
I'm
don't even
like,
want to do math when I have to do math.
right? Just imagine looking at 3x equals y. I don't want to, that stresses me out thinking it.
Yeah, but I do understand why they may give you the advice that it's best for you not to journal, probably because they didn't have your full assessment done. Was it before the assessment was complete?
It kind of, because it's kind of like it was a college setting.
Hmm.
And my impression of it was that not, they weren't rushing for me to get out, but also they had hundreds of other students to intake.
Uh,
So it was pretty much just more so they were intaking me, and I think I did have like two more follow-ups to go, or one more to go. So, and it was kind of like diagnosis, psychiatrist, one counseling session, boom, done. And then you'll get like regular counseling from the university. So it was kind of like, I guess, because she either that or more so she couldn't fully go into depth of what was my who I am as a person, I think is what it was. So
yeah, I can understand. I don't like settings like that where they're just like one and done and, these steps here and thank you. We'll contact. I don't like that. But that's neither here nor there. Um I can understand why they would say not to journal. For certain people, journaling can trigger um because you would be journaling about the past, or you would be journaling about something that is harmful to you in some way, shape, or form. That can be very triggering for certain individuals.
Right.
So journaling may not be the best for everyone. For me, I do also like to journal, and then it turns into like a fantasy. Like I can turn every journal entry into an episode or into a book or something. Like I'm always thinking of ways to incorporate my experiences into actual content. And I just, yeah, my imagination runs wild sometimes. So it'll be like, oh, this happened today. And now I've just written a book about a boy who's a robot. And
You're literally turning life into lemonade. I mean, lemons into lemonade.
yes, yes, yes. And just to add some context there, so I haven't officially released anything about Ash, right? But I have submitted in my article, the Canvas Rebel article, I did mention it, and people are like, I haven't mentioned it, I haven't written about it, I haven't posted anything about it yet. But the whole premise behind Ash is that he is a boy who wakes up as a robot. And where does this stem from? It stems from me working. I worked in a space where they literally treated us like robots. They literally treated us like little robots with empathy. Like we had to help. So I was in digital crisis counseling and typing to teens who were feeling suicidal, basically.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, instead of us taking a break between each person, we had to keep, so we would type and type and type, and then the person would, feel better, or they would disconnect, whatever. And then we would be right back on a new chat with another person. And
Whoa, you need
it's
a breathe.
like, yeah, after you do a few of those back to back, you start to feel numb, right? And I just remember them giving me feedback that one of these chats, and also I had an issue with them because some of the chats seemed very, very fake. Like it seemed like I was talking to either a bot or to a manager. Like it didn't seem like real. It didn't seem
Mhm.
like a real conversation. It did not seem like I was talking to a teenager who was suicidal, basically. And I have this pattern recognition where I can tell when I'm speaking to somebody who is genuinely in need and when I'm speaking to somebody who's playing around. And
You could
if
be
I'm
playing.
right, and if I'm speaking to somebody who's playing around, I'm not going to be as empathetic. I'm going to help you. Yeah, I'm going to go through the steps, but I'm also going to be very tired that my energy is being drained right now. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
And I just remember getting feedback one time. Um, it's like, "Oh, you're lacking empathy in this chat." And I'm like, "Yeah, how many chats did I take right before that one?"
Right. Why don't you look at the other chats that has all the empathy that's needed and just read the chat? Look at the context.
Like, pay attention. Is this real? Is this a real person? Come on now. It's like anybody with a brain can put two and two together and figure it out.
Golly.
But it's okay because I no longer work there. I do not recommend that for anybody. If you are going to do crisis work, you need breaks between people. You cannot just be taking crisis chats or especially crisis calls. I could not imagine having to take calls back to back.
That's why
Chats,
I did not consider jobs like that because I'm like,
yeah,
will the job give you breaks?
chats are one thing, but like calls, I had so much empathy for people who were taking those crisis calls because I could not imagine, first of all, the people pranking you and playing around. And then you have QA, people who are doing, quality assurance. And then you have to take actual crisis calls back to back. No, thank you. I'm draining myself by even talking about this. I
Wow.
am drained after even just talking about it. I do not suggest that work for anybody. I don't. If you are going to be in that work, you need a break between each person, especially if the conversation lasted longer than 30 minutes.
Do you think like that's also like the employer's part to implement that more for um crisis response employees, or could it be like employees could also try to advocate more for themselves?
So here's the thing. We did start a union. I won't mention anybody's name, but we did start a union, and there was a lot of backlash and a lot of retaliation going on regarding people who were pro union. And a lot of what the union was fighting for was better work conditions, which includes better breaks, right? Nobody in their right mind is going to be able to take a crisis call that lasts for 2 hours straight and then hop back onto another crisis call.
Oh my gosh.
Come on. Come be for real. So I think, yes, it is definitely the employer's responsibility to take care of their people. And that's in any setting. I
Right.
I would never be running a sweatshop, whether that is a digital sweatshop or a physical sweatshop, because the more burnt out people are, no matter how desperate somebody may be for money, if you are actively burning people out, they're going to become less loyal to you. They're going to not care as much. You're going to push them away from the
The company.
not the company, the whole why am I blanking out? Um what is it called?
Are you
Like,
talking about like from the company's like mission statement or principles?
yeah, but also the entire, like when doctors are doctors, what is that called?
Practice.
Not practice.
Oh, oopsie.
I don't know why the word went out of my head, but the field. You're
uh,
you're pushing people away from the field. You're making it hard. You're making it very difficult for people to want to continue in that specific field, right?
right. And I see like you don't want that to happen in like high demand areas where it's there's always going to there's always going to be a need for somebody who's crisis involved to respond to crises.
Yes. And, Grounded Stars, we are a crisis prevention where we are educating and we are having real discussions and, group work and things like that where we can prevent instead of having to always intervene, because we shouldn't have to always wait until something happens to understand why we are coping this way or how we can better cope. We want to teach these tools ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. I love that, and that makes me want to like dive into the heavier topics. Like we uh, what would you say like if somebody is struggling with or fighting possibly some suicidal thoughts? They're not heavy, but you know how like a lot of the times the thoughts can just pile up, and then things that happen in life just piles up and you find justifications for those thoughts. But what would you say, because you know how like sometimes maybe having a mini dance party will not help,
Mhm.
or speaking to another maybe a counselor who just doesn't get it, but that's the only person that you can vent to. Like, what would you say is like the best coping strategy before things would get worse?
Yes. So everyone copes differently. I think that we have to realize that sometimes when we are put in different scenarios, everyone reacts differently, right? I am going to react to being laid off differently from someone who has all of their family's support, right? If I am laid off and I only have maybe one option, and maybe that option gets thrown out of the window, I'm probably going to feel like I'm in panic mode, as opposed to someone who lives with their parents or lives with family and depends on family and doesn't really have any bills, doesn't really have any responsibilities. They are going to react to that layoff in a different way. So, because we all have different reactions, we're going to have different coping strategies. And the person who is always in survival mode is going to cope differently from the person who is experiencing something for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
So, somebody who is always, always, always dealing with housing issues is going to always be not prepared, because sometimes, even no matter how much you prepare yourself for things, you just may not have the finances to do what it is you need to do, or you may not have the um maybe your backup plan needs a backup plan, if that makes sense.
Oh, I've been there.
But somebody who that's a person that's always in survival mode. They're always waiting for something to happen. They always, they know that nothing is permanent because they have had to live like that their entire life. Compared to somebody who has family all over their town. If it doesn't work out with their parents, they can go down the block and speak to an aunt or an uncle and stay with an aunt or an uncle, right?
Right.
um that person is going to feel more secure and more comfortable with themselves. um and I'm so sorry, what was the question?
I was basically, I was like, oh, she eating, she's getting okay, but you were
I think you
basically
said, I think you asked me, um someone who's having suicidal thoughts. So
yes,
someone who is always in survival mode, they may have those suicidal thoughts often. That is somebody who may often think about this. The thought may run through their head every single day. Does that mean that they're actually going to plan this? Does that mean they're actually going to act on it? Not necessarily. It just means they have these thoughts going through their head because they think, okay, this is the last resort, possibly. Um, Compared to someone who may be experiencing something extremely traumatic or extremely difficult. And again, that what somebody may consider to be traumatic, what somebody may consider to be difficult, may be different from the next person. But let's say someone just purchased a house. They had a house, they had everything that they wanted. Now the house has burned down. They have no family, they have nowhere to go, they have no car, they have no anything, nothing. They walk down to get shelter. The city can't provide them with shelter because many people have had their homes burned down in the same week. There's like that is so many things happening to this one person at one time. That person is going to start to feel like the end is near,
mm,
right? And that thought of, okay, this is it. And they start that planning, and once they have come up with a plan, you may this is when it's dangerous, when they start to, when somebody has told you that they are experiencing suicidal thoughts and then all of a sudden they start to seem happier or seem lighter. You may think, oh, they're feeling better. No, you need to double check that, because it may be that they have their plan together.
Mhm.
um so again, it really goes based on the individual. It really does. I can't give a cookie cutter, I can't give any advice. I can only hold space for people who are experiencing things in that way, where they are thinking about suicide and they are thinking about, this is the end. I can't give one set answer, because that one answer may not work for the next person.
Right.
So what I do, I hold space, I listen to the scenario that they're going through, and I ask them, how often have you gone through this? How often have you gone through this? If you are not going through this for the first time, what did you do last time? What helped you? Ha-
Oh,
what was healthy? What was healthy for you then? What helped you to cope then in a healthy way?
I like that because then at least it's getting some gear turning to keep them from getting stuck in that mental space. Is that correct?
Exactly. And it's also to remind them that, hey, you made it through this before. You can get through this. You can get through this. But people do get tired, because imagine going through something all the time,
Mm-hmm.
all the time, every single day, all the time, every year, every month. You're going through the same thing. People get tired. People get tired, and everybody has a limit. So again, you have to hold space for people who are going through something and hear them and understand how they're feeling in that moment. Um, there really is no cookie cutter advice. There really is no perfect answer, because it's based on the individual.
So, kind of like, would you say that because the every single detail is so intricate and that there isn't not one answer because of how intricate somebody's situation could be, would you also say that this person who is trying to find out how can they cope, what works, what doesn't work, would you also say that while they're in this journey of figuring out what works, what didn't work, what is a great coping method for them, that they also shouldn't beat themselves up and kind of like aim to kind of like give them that pat in the back that they're trying, right? Like, because that we may not
Yeah.
always have those coping methods just right, right?
hmm Every effort that you make to keep yourself safe, every effort that you make to keep others safe, when you know that you need to be alone and you're strong enough to say that out loud or to demonstrate that, that is strength, that is courage, that is the ability to see what it is that you need as an individual. And that takes a lot of, you're a superhero. You're a
Mm-hmm.
superhero. Um, I give a shout out to every single person who wakes up every single day, and you may not know where your next meal is coming from. You may not know um, how you're going to, where you're going to sleep, or how you're going to make it to the next day. I I'm giving you virtual hugs and kisses, and I'm giving you praise. I'm bowing down, because that takes a lot of energy. And I know what it feels like.
It's like it definitely takes a lot of like persistence and being the person to tell yourself to keep going because it's like you have to look within yourself to find that reason to keep going. And so it's like, yeah, I've been there before, especially like dealing with being separated from like my parents, and out of all the family members that I could have relied on, they're probably a little more established than others, but trying to figure it out all by yourself, it's, yeah, like I commend everybody who has to even do that, but 10 times harder, or without food on the table, clothes to wear, or still putting a smile on your face, and nobody knows what you're going through.
Exactly. And that's why I refuse to pretend anymore. When I was younger, I was good for slapping a smile on my face and acting like everything is good. If I don't feel like smiling now, I'm not smiling. If I don't feel like, if I'm walking down the street and I am listening to music with my headphones on, I don't have to force myself to smile at you just because I'm passing you. I don't have to say hi if I don't want to. I don't have to do the okay. I don't need to do all of that. I I preserve my energy now, but I also, I don't put myself in a position to seem like a bee. I try, if I am having a bad day, I try to stay home or just stay to myself because I know that I don't want to talk to anybody or I don't want to see anybody. So I try to, put myself in a position where I can have those hermit moments. That's what I call it. Hermit moments where you just want to throw your hoodie on, which I have have been wearing quite often. Throw your hoodie on, put your hat down low and just mind your business. It's okay to have days like that. It's okay. Nobody is forcing you to be anybody but you.
And it's like if you keep on forcing yourself, it's going to break you down. It
Yes, that
will.
that show, or I call it a charade, is going to catch up eventually and it's going to just make you explode. It's like a volcano.
Mm-hmm. And like I've even dealt with like something similar to that when I had my last job, and I, of course, because I'm like, oh, am I allowed to talk about my last job? But I do know there was like a point in time where it was just like, yo, I cannot keep up this show.
Yeah.
I just can't, like, things are going on too much where it's just like I'm not even trying to bring personal life into work life. But best
Mm-mm.
believe I don't want to shuck and jive. For it was like, okay, maybe I could shuck and jive for the patients, but I cannot shuck and jive around my coworkers because I thought we was human. I thought we knew, like, we got stuff going on, but I can't shuck and jive for you. I'm already getting paid to shuck and jive for patients, and they don't know
Oh
me.
my
But like,
goodness.
if we're a family and we're a family at work,
Yes.
and every family knows that not every day is gonna be bright and happy Zeta, da, 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 da. And I learned, when it came to that situation, I learned another tool, because it blew up in my face. I mean, I got laid off, but the way that I had the way that like all the occurrence of events happened leading up to that point, it was still a little bitter because it was just kind of like all of this started just because I just didn't want to perform for a certain coworker. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned that, okay, the job might not be too lenient with, me showing like my real face, my RBF, or just being more
Mm-hmm.
monotone for the day, because certain jobs really want you to perform for the patients, even though I'm not getting paid actor money. Not getting paid actor money, but they want you to perform for the patients. Okay, I'll do
Exactly.
it. But I learned, you know what, my avenue is just that. I'll be honest, I'm not doing great today. And then I'll just still be respect. I mean, I always aim to be respectful, but I just separate myself a little bit more. So I don't have to constantly engage in certain conversations if I don't want to, and be like, oh, I'm just locked in on this work. So then that way, like, I don't have to deal with other people's opinions. Oh, she's just working. It's just work, you guys. It's just work.
Yeah, and sometimes it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I
Right.
remember at one job, I was very friendly, very open, very talkative. I was always the person at the team meetings making people laugh. And then I realized these people were like either, and I hate to say this because it's like it seems so like puffing up my ego, but they genuinely were jealous of, like, you know, when you're in good spirits, like you're genuinely happy in life.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's people who may be going through something or whatever, something in the background in their home life, whatever. They did not like it. They would, you know, shoot little digs. And at at one point I was just like, you know what? I'm done talking. I stopped talking. I stopped sharing in team meetings. I would come, show up, do what I had to do, and leave. And then I ended up switching teams. And I said, you know what? I'm not gonna be my bubbly self. I'm not gonna share my personal information. I'm just going to do my job and leave. Oh, that was the worst thing in the world.
Oh God, you see, that's literally what I was
That was the
doing.
worst thing in the world. And when I tell you the lengths that these people went through to try to get me to either quit or try to fire me, I'm telling you, it was amazing. It was insane. And it, again, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And at this point, I am again preserving my energy for those who reciprocate. I'm just not here to perform for anyone. I'm not a show dog.
Right. I like to say I'm not shucking and jiving for nobody.
Exactly. I'm not. But how has learning how to cope changed your life specifically? Because when I was younger, I used to cope in very unhealthy ways. There was self harm in there, there was tantrums, and lots of things that were just unhealthy eating, emotional eating, things like that. What about you? How
You
has learning
know,
how to properly cope change your life?
I I feel like learning how to properly cope has changed my life in a way where I feel like I grew more as a person, and the side of me that used to struggle so much and like, oh man, I can't be myself. I'm not happy here if I can't be myself. And it's getting more depressed because I'm not feeling like I could express myself. I using proper coping tools to help me get more out of that because I noticed that although I do have like my moments where I just need time to myself, like I'm naturally a person who like to uplift people, who like to, bring a smile, who finds like the positive in things. It was just that when I had unhealthy coping methods, I would like have a negative, like either mindset, outlook on things, expect the worst out of people. But coping properly has alleviated some of that stress off my back, and less weight on my shoulders made me feel more light a little bit. Like it doesn't mean that I don't have any like unhealthy habits because I know I shouldn't be eating that much sugar, but I love me some Reese's Cups, and I will eat a whole cookie tray by myself. And I don't think about diabetes or none of that. I literally try to pretend I'm that you're getting older. Stop doing that. So I'm not 100% unhealthy coping free, but I know that these days, if I start to venting is good for me to cope. But I learned what my limit is for myself when it's venting. If I'm getting too angry, if I am driving and I'm losing control, no more venting. Because after you vented enough, you're defeating the purpose of venting. And then there's I just lost my train of thought because my cat was almost doing something she was not supposed to be doing. She distracted me. But yeah, like it I was getting into, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Okay. I was saying pretty much the like venting, right? Like I was going to venting. Oh yeah, like um it kind of showed me what coping methods needed a limit, what was no longer working. And then that also turned to me learning that, hey, Zetha, you also can learn that once the stressor is gone, even if, yes, you have to go back to work and probably deal with this stressful person, the stressor is gone, right? Like, you know how they say the the ancient brain that we have, it thinks fight or flight. I just be like, Zippa, you don't gotta fight or flight right now. It's gone. It's not a tiger. Literally, like
Yeah.
it allowed probably coping eventually let me think of that because before I was not thinking of that. I think just this year I'm like, the stressor is gone, Zippa. The stressor is gone. Even if it may come back, it's not a lion. The stressor is gone.
Yeah.
Like it has allowed me to maybe think for myself a little bit more, to control how and who I vent to. Because I used to have a problem with venting to the wrong people who would use that as ammunition against me. So I became more wise, right? Like it
Yes.
because yeah, like it helps you get more wise because you're not it helped me kind of also kind of get out of that mindset that probably kept me stuck in the first place. Now I'm like trying to now it's like all about discipline a little bit on top of coping, but I feel like it it also helped me realize it doesn't have to be why me. And I'm not saying that this is what people is the main issue in people's life, and it wasn't why me wasn't the main issue in my life either, but more so it just wasn't helping me in the moments that I did do that. Because yeah, a lot of things happen in life and they just happen. And I used to try to think, oh, I have to do every single thing that I can to keep it from happening. Like I'm gonna do every single thing I can to keep myself from becoming homeless. And then 2 years ago, I was literally almost homeless, and it wasn't even my fault. Like, yes, I could have had more money in my pocket, but at the end of the day, how I almost got homeless wasn't even in my fault because somebody believed that I said something about them that I never said. And I have a witness to say that I never said those things. I realize I can't avoid every single thing. And that was an unhealthy coping mechanism. That's what I was trying to get into. Because I thought, oh, coping also meant like I can prevent every bad thing from ever happening. Ever, 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 ever.
Yeah, no.
No.
It's not possible. But even so, is like you said, there's some people that are homeless that have full-time jobs. They have full-time jobs. They have they're just unable to afford where they live. And it's
Right.
that simple. And it's not their fault. It's the job is not paying them well. Excuse me, I have hiccups.
No, no, you're good. It could be the job is not paying them well. It could be, wherever their living situation was, if they were sharing it with someone, didn't want them in the house no more. And they just did not have time to prepare. It could be something as simple as a work injury, insurance not covering something, and then they're behind on bills. Like
Mhm.
I learned, I mean, just trying to even cope around that, I learned so much.
Yeah.
Um, I learned so much. And I also learned that as much as my brain wants to be like, I'm alone, I have nobody, I know, even if it's like, I don't know, this might sound a little delulu, and Kiara, let me know if this is like unhelpful because I'm not trying to get clinical or talk about psychology, but it was kind of like I had to lie to myself a little bit, like I don't care what evidence you think nobody's here for you, there's got to be somebody, something, and you're just gonna it's gonna come whether you are or not, or there is somebody. Like, yeah, your sisters are not in the city, but if I would just make up anything to try to say, yeah, I'm not alone. I'm not alone at all. No, no. Even though there would be bad days where I did, but um, honestly, trying to take it day by day and coping was honestly what got me through it. Like, I don't think I got it 100% right now. Um, and I don't know if I will next year, but yeah, sorry for that long-winded answer, but I feel
Oh,
like,
no. I
yeah.
love to hear it. I think that back to the not alone part, there are people who genuinely are alone or feel alone. They feel like they cannot speak to the people who are around them, and that's okay. It's important to know that you are able to reach out immediately to call or text a crisis line, talk to a trusted friend, a neighbor, a family member, or head to the hospital speak to a mental health professional. You never have to stay alone. And I know that I just spoke about crisis work and how difficult it can be for the people on the other side, but we genuinely, at the bottom of our hearts, we're there because we care. When I was on the line, I was there because I cared. I was there because I wanted to help and I wanted to make people feel less alone. So when you are feeling alone and you are in the United States, just remember that you can call or text 988, which is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It is free, it is confidential. You can always contact us here at Grounded Stars. It doesn't matter how old you are. You just sign up to become a member and you'll be able to access the crisis chat and crisis support. It's 24/7. We are always alerted if you need to speak, because sometimes just talking, even if you feel like you're repeating yourself, can interrupt that spiral of hopelessness. Because I don't know
Yes.
about you, but I've had those days where I just keep thinking the same thing or just falling into a rabbit hole.
I love that you said the spiral of hopelessness because that literally, yes, because yes, because it's that
Yes.
spiral that really just, yes, you got to interrupt it.
Yes.
Yes.
And then it's important to create a safe space around you. So if you are having any negative thoughts, you want to remove or distance yourself from anything you could use to harm yourself. And that includes anything or any person, okay? Medication, weapons, alcohol, drugs, um, anything or any person who is not healthy for you. It's important for you to know when to say no. Go somewhere safe. Go somewhere where you can get fresh air, where you can hear your thoughts. Changing your environment sometimes can really reduce the intensity of those urges.
Oh, yes.
Um, Another thing that I like to suggest is use a grounding or a calming technique. I'm big on the 5 4 3 2 1 grounding method, where you name 5 things that you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And you have to use everything that's around you in your environment, because that brings you back down to earth. Um, Slow breathing, box breathing, where you're inhaling for 4 counts, you're holding for 4 counts, and then you're exhaling. Ice cubes are a big one. I love either chewing on ice. I know that shows that I'm anemic, but I like to chew on ice or even just hold ice or rub my face with ice. It's very, very, um, it interrupts those intrusive thoughts. And last one, I know I'm speaking all over the place, but last one, make a short safety plan. We do have safety planning sessions here at Grounded Stars. Even if you are the only one there, we will sit down together and go through what your personal warning signs are that mean your thoughts are escalating, coping actions that have helped before, music, walking, prayer, calling a friend, I said music already. The dance sessions, even if it's just with you, it's okay. Whatever you do that gets you moving and gets your mind off of anything triggering. Um, Writing down people, numbers, and addresses that you can either call or go to, safe places that you can go to if staying home isn't safe. Because even if you have a rough draft of a plan, that gives your brain something structure to hold on to during a crisis.
That reminds me of kind of like when I had to make a safety plan when I was like first getting like diagnosed with like major depressive disorder. Um
Yeah.
uh and I think that's like I'm glad that they introduced that to me because I think honestly that may have been like my first professional or maybe like or at least just like a first healthy introduction to like okay, there's ways for me to begin navigating this or just have a plan when I'm like feeling those things. So I'm like, I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was like,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I had to make a safety plan like several years ago. I mean, I've been graduated college, but um, yes.
Yeah, always update your safety plan because something, that safety plan that you made a few years ago, it may not be relevant now. So always keep it updated. And just remember to everyone out there listening that these negative thoughts are never permanent. They're signals of pain, but they're not proof that you are broken. They're not proof that you are unworthy. They're not proof that you are not going to get the help that you need or better your situation. You will. You can. And with help and time, that intensity, those thoughts can pass, they can go away.
I love that you said that these thoughts are never permanent. They're signals of pain. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's like also something to genuinely remember whenever you're stuck in that spiral, like how you were saying. And that's like so poetic in a way. That is so beautiful.
Yes. Like I think that people are very skeptical about reaching out to crisis centers or reaching out to people who deal with crisis because they don't want to be reported or they don't want to get into trouble or they don't want their parents finding out if they're children or teenagers, right?
Hmm.
And the most important thing is your safety and your well-being and you not feeling alone in that moment. Everything else can be dealt with and handled as it comes, but the core issue when you are having these thoughts is feeling like you're alone with these thoughts. And if you're not comfortable reaching out to a 988 or you're not comfortable reaching out to any of the more known crisis centers, you are always, always, always invited to reach out to Grounded Stars.
So, specifically for you, because I know you're speaking in a general sense about coping, how could coping could work for others, but is there anything that you would like to share about how coping changed your life? Do you feel like the girl who
Yeah,
you were when you were like a teen
yeah.
to the woman you are now?
I think that I am much more able to recognize red flags, and we'll get into this. We'll get into this in later episodes, but I am very big on red flag behavior and when people are unhealthy for me, recognizing that right away. Also recognizing when environments are not right for me or when a job is not right for me or um, just any situation that I'm in, I recognize the red flags immediately. And I try my best to change whatever is not right or whatever is not working so that I am not stuck feeling triggered. So I'm never the person that will sit there and complain about something. I'm the person that's going to make a change swiftly. I'm the person that is going to call it out for what it is and say, hey, this is not for me. I've got to make a move. I've got to make a change because you can sit and complain all day long. The problem is still there unless you're actively changing or doing something about it.
Right.
One thing that also has helped me to cope better is to really want to heal because a lot of people can get stuck in the I want to be a victim because I want the attention or I want to be a victim because um, people help me better, people help me more. And it's like, okay, you know, but that gets tiresome after a while, right? To always have to tell a story. You're always telling a sad story, or you're always doing this, or you're always doing that. It's like at some point, you have to rip the band aid off and you have to let the wound heal. The scar will still be there. Yes, it happened. Yes, it changed you. Of course, we can reflect on it, but what are we going to do right now to make sure that we either don't find ourselves in that position so easily again, or to be able to recognize when we're headed down that same path, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
So just
And
being honest about, that's something that has helped me, was just being honest about things that have taken place.
and then the only way you can heal is to honestly be honest with yourself.
Exactly. And just you don't have to label yourself a victim. Be a survivor. Be somebody who, yes, I went through this. Yes, this is something that happened in my life. Here's how it changed me. But guess what? Here's how my ability to bounce back got better. Or here's how I now recognize and I can help other people recognize red flags, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, is there anything that we discussed that you feel would need a disclaimer? Of course, I'm going to put a we have a disclaimer because we are speaking about very, very deep topics and it can be very painful to others. But what about you?
I feel like you touched on that earlier, how like there's different complex situations. So I do think like yes, there what we mentioned earlier before, how maybe you can't speak to certain people about certain things that are going through your life, or even like toxic positivity, how you don't have to put on a face every day for other people. And being real to yourself is, like, I think like we kind of like touched on those. I'm trying to think if there is like a huge disclaimer. I know about like the journaling too, like that may not be the best for folks who are, you still don't know what's going on with you, and maybe you don't want to spiral. If you feel like you cannot break yourself out that spiraling by yourself by just journaling, and maybe you need to speak to someone on the crisis line. I think it's like, it sounds like it's best to kind of like evaluate your situation, and then
Yes.
yeah, like in seeing what just feels good when you give it a try, and avoiding those principles of causing harm to using the principles of avoiding causing harm to yourself and or others.
Yes. And always be brave enough to ask for help. Never stay alone. If you feel alone, you don't have to stay alone. You can dial, for those who feel safe enough to dial 911 or dial your local police station and let them know what's going on. And they can get a, paramedic to you or a mobile crisis services to you if that's available in your area. But you definitely don't want to stay alone. Dial 988, text 988, or any of the crisis services that are available to you, because it's not just 988 that is available. And
Mhm.
again, Grounded Stars is available at all times if you want to reach out and get the help that you need.
Yes, yes, yes. Also, I did want to add that one thing that came to mind, if anybody ever needed an example on what like it means to, what to see would work for you, if you're struggling, or whether somebody mentioned some ideas and you don't know if they'll work for you. Um, like for example, meditating in certain points of your life might be a great coping skill, while in other points it might not be helpful. Like I know if like meditating is great for like, I use meditation honestly for any ruminating thoughts, because I can get really ruminative or obsessive type thoughts. um and meditating could help, but there are certain days where the thoughts maybe need a little bit more action towards it, and sitting and meditating will make it just worse. And so I think that's like a good example. Certain tools like maybe breathing, it might not have a disclaimer, on the other hand, because pretty much we all are wired to breathe. Like our levels of anxiety or relaxation or peace is tied to breathing. So that might not have too much of a disclaimer. It may be universal, but also kind of like if one day where it's just like this is not doing it to me, like don't force it. And then that in that case, kind of like going back to what Kiara was saying, just maybe having a moment to speak to someone, reaching out to a crisis line, and that Grounded Stars is also an option as a crisis line.
Absolutely. And just remember that you're brave for even waking up. You are brave for even waking up. You're brave to do it, get out of your bed, and to live another day. That is bravery and strength. And I applaud you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So we are now at the end of this episode on tools we use to cope. And of course, we're going to talk about this in more depth at some point. But we are at the end of this episode. And if you would like to share tools that you cope with, please join us over at the Google Classroom.
Exactly. We hope that this episode did what it was meant to do, which was to inspire you on the tools you can use, what could work or not work for you. We discussed breathing techniques, crisis lines, journaling, using art, having mini dance parties, and plenty more. So we hope that you are able to feel like you're heard, that you're not alone in this life that we call in this journey that we call life, and also that we kept it real with you, that maybe certain things don't work, but that other things could too, because your life is complex just like any other person's life is complex.
Absolutely. And if you felt this conversation, follow us wherever you get your podcast, share it with a friend, and join us on this healing journey.
And next time, we are diving into a conversation about rest guilt being real, but rest is a right.
Yes, for sure. Don't forget to visit us over at www.groundedstars.com to book a class today or to book a session. Or again, if you would like some crisis services or just someone to speak to, go ahead and sign up.
Alrighty, you guys. I don't think I ever said in this episode, I may not know your faces or ever see it, but I still want to spread some love. Love you guys.
Love, yes. Virtual hugs and kisses.
Virtual hugs and kisses.
See you again soon.
See you again soon. Bye, everyone.